Well, on a day when many would be removing those poppies to lay them on the cenotaph, comments made this past weekend about the symbolic flowers have been a hot topic of conversation. The longtime face of Hockey Night in Canada will no longer host the iconic show after remarks he made about immigrants ahead of Remembrance Day.
You people love you that come here, whatever it is. You love our way of life. You love our milk and honey. At least you could pay a couple of bucks for poppies.
It's those words that ultimately led Sportsnet to end its relationship with the host of Hockey Night in Canada after nearly 4 decades. Sportsnet's president issuing a statement this afternoon, reading in part, "Sports brings people together. It unites us, not divides us." Following further discussions with Don Cherry after Saturday night's broadcast, it's been decided it's the right time for him to immediately step down. During the broadcast, he made divisive remarks that do not represent our values or what we stand for. It goes on to say, "We'd like to thank Don for his contributions to hockey and sports broadcasting in Canada."
I think times they are changing.
Reaction on the streets tonight to Don Cherry's comments that took direct aim at Canadian immigrants.
I think at the core he was trying to promote a good message around honoring our veterans, which obviously was really misguided.
He should have at least apologized. He should have apologized, and I think that would have saved his job for sure.
Sportsnet and fellow Coach's Corner host Ron McLean both apologized in the wake of the backlash. But Cherry told the Toronto Sun today he stands by what he said, and that's not sitting well with some of his fellow Sportsnet analysts.
Never mind broadcasting, one of the most significant profiles in this country, sports or otherwise. No one can debate that.
Right. I was going to say the power of that pulpit.
No, it's
unbelievable.
It's all relevant. You're completely right. And for that reason, I was stunned that I didn't see a public apology.
The hosts of Tim and Sid point out this is not the first time the 85-year-old has stirred reaction with his comments.
The kookaloos are always saying the warming trend, we're freezing to death. You're eating a seal, a little baby seal. What do you eat seal? I mean, come on, what are you, savage, a barbarian?
I've been being ripped to shreds by the left-wing pinko newspapers out there. It's unbelievable.
He was always implying that Europeans were coming to take jobs from Canadians, by which he meant white Canadians.
This U of T professor taught a course on hockey and Canadian culture with an entire unit dedicated to Don Cherry. He believes the host was given free rein for decades by CBC and to a lesser extent Rogers, which is the parent company of Sportsnet and City TV, because Cherry's unfiltered attitude brought in big advertising bucks for Hockey Night in Canada.
But that kind of populism also had an element that we're seeing now among white supremacists and, extreme right-wing parties. That was always there in the kinds of things that we're seeing.
Now, Hockey Night in Canada's sponsor, Budweiser, says they respect the decision. The NHL also echoing that sentiment. Now, moments ago, we heard from Canadian press. From Don Cherry, who spoke to Canadian press. He again doubled down on those comments, saying that he would not walk them back. However, he wanted to clarify that he was not speaking about immigrants. He was speaking about any Canadian. Well, as we told you earlier in the show, Sportsnet has cut ties with longtime broadcaster Don Cherry over comments he seemed to make about immigrants to Canada not wearing poppies. Now, reaction has rippled through his hometown of Mississauga, where we did attempt to speak with Cherry, though no one answered at his home. But we did speak with a neighbor across the street who defended the former Hockey Night in Canada host.
I think it's unfair because he's such a nice gentleman. What you see him on TV is not what he is in person.
Really?
He's a really nice person. He walks his dog every morning at 6 in the morning. He's friendly with everybody in the neighborhood, so I just think it's unfair.
Did you watch the comments? Did you hear what he said? And what?
No, I didn't watch the comments. No, I just heard that he made some comments about people coming to this country, immigrants and stuff. Listen, I'm an immigrant too. I came in here from back home, and I got to adapt to the country. This has become our country, so they're not going to adapt to me. I have to adapt to the country.
Some other big-name residents are weighing in. We spoke with Mississauga's longest-serving mayor, Hazel McCallion, over the phone. Here's what she had to say.
There is a decreasing respect for the poppy. No question about it. And unfortunately, the only mistake Don made that he mentioned recent or new immigrants.
And today, the hashtags Fire Don Cherry and Don Cherry Must Go were trending on social media. Cherry has not apologized, saying he stands by those comments. Here's what Mayor Bonnie Crombie had to say. We have an obligation as a society to stand up and speak out against intolerance to ensure our communities remain safe, welcoming, and inclusive. Sportsnet's decision sends a strong message that Canadians will not tolerate discriminatory or divisive comments of any shape or form. Now, Cherry has not apologized, saying he stands by those comments, though late this evening he pointed out that he never specifically mentioned minorities or immigrants. He says, "You people" was a reference to everybody.